News, boy, there's some big news today. Quite a lot of big stuff. This one's probably the most amazing one. After 25 years, the Department of Homeland Security has canceled the CVE program, which is amazing. And this is the CVE program is Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. It's built into every announcement of vulnerabilities. It's built into every vulnerability scanner. Everybody relies on it. We've relied on it for 25 years. It's a huge program. Security researchers make their name by getting CVE numbers that they discovered, and they're just going to turn it off tomorrow with no explanation why, but most likely it's DOGE, I guess. The Republican position is something a Republican said decades ago: the government should be so small you can drown it in a bathtub. They think government should not provide any service at all to anybody. It shouldn't exist at all. Everything should just be done in the private sector. And so that appears to be where we're headed. And that means that'll be the end of the MITRE CVE program. And the problem is they're just, I think they're now up to 10 or 20,000 vulnerabilities a year they discover in catalog, and there is no replacement. There's no alternative private sector product that is remotely as good. So they're going to have to scramble. I would think realistically, the most logical solution here would be for some private company to donate money to keep it going. But I guess we're going to find out, and I'm going to record Paul's Security Weekly podcast tomorrow afternoon, and those guys are well plugged into the government and the industry, and they will probably have some more inside information about what's going to happen here. I saw it earlier today, and at first I didn't even think it was true, and now they've come out and officially said, yes, it is true. So yes. Well, that's what I wonder. If they raise enough money in the private sector, maybe they could just keep going. Maybe some private company would like to take it over, but I'm sure it would take them at least 6 months to spin up. Well, I think it's both of those things that you say there, Hero Moore. It is DOGE is just canceling every government program, including all the ones that are really important that people count on. Like the USAID is probably the most important. I'm sure they say a bunch of people are going to die from lack of vaccines and medicine from the end of USAID, and they're just canceling everything. They just feel like every government program shouldn't exist. And right now, Trump is just assuming emergency powers to make arbitrary decisions on everything without having to get anything to go through Congress, although that may be coming to an end, but at the moment he's getting away with it. So every department agency has been told to cut and then told to cut more and cut more. They like them all to just go down to zero, I think. So anyway, that's amazing and true. And they have verified that it's really happening. It's just it's hard to believe because it's a foundational program that every part of information security relies on. It's going to really be missed. Yeah, that's right. I certainly hope to see checks and balances return. Well, I think we will, because a few days ago, the Wall Street Journal opinion page came out with the statement that Trump should be impeached again. And several Republican senators have come out speaking against Trump. So I think when he trashed the stock market and is destroying Social Security, those are intolerable things. I think even his Republican voters cannot support those things. So we'll see, of course. I felt that way every week for Trump's entire previous presidency, that surely his voters will turn out against him now over this outrage. But I'm not seeing him cover up these latest disasters. And I think the problem is, I think a whole lot of the Republican Party is just big, rich donors, and they really, really care about the stock market. So I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. But it does look like Trump is going to get reined in. I certainly would like to see that. And so he's battling colleges now, just like every other autocrat. He wants to control the press. He wants to control the colleges. Every totalitarian state has always found colleges to be the opposition because, of course, it's full of idealistic young people and they complain about the injustice. And Trump was doing really well at threatening all the major Ivy League universities with cutting their funding, and they were just rolling over like Columbia and putting up with his outrageous demands, like he's going to take over their Middle East department and force them to crush student protests and cooperate with ICE raiding to kidnap students from the dorms and send them off for not being citizens and stuff like that. But Harvard, for some reason, Harvard decided to push back. they faced essentially the same demands on Harvard, that you must end all diversity programs, you must let us control your cultural programs like your Mideast studies and other things like that. And Harvard said, no, we're not going to do that. So then he said, well, I'll pull your funding, $2.2 billion. And Harvard said, they're still not going to do it. So now they're trying to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status. Now, this is something Republicans have wanted to do for a while, because they say that if you have something like a women's history or black history class or department, and you have protests about things that the government doesn't like against the genocide in Gaza, then they're strayed from your educational mission, and therefore we can revoke your status. They say, they are tax exempt, but only as long as they stay in accomplishing their mission. And Republicans do not think that those issues count as education. So anyway, we'll see if they can actually revoke their tax exempt status, and if that stops them. But I really appreciate Harvard starting to push back. We really need all the news agencies to push back. They threw AP out of the press pool, so they can't have no direct reporting in the White House anymore. And the other news agencies did not stand with them, like in a union, to hold them back. They just let it happen. And so a court ordered them to let the AP back, and they just didn't do it. The latest thing Trump's been doing in the last week or two is just completely ignoring court orders. The most drastic one being, of course, this one here with the guy in El Salvador, Bukele, who he paid $8 million to make a death camp and lock up a bunch of people forever to work them to death from America, who are deported there without trial, and it turns out without any criminal record. He said these are dangerous gang members, and journalists have looked it up and found out that at least 3/4 of them have no criminal convictions at all of any kind. And one of them they know is completely innocent, and he even had a special court order saying you cannot ever send this guy back to El Salvador. And they sent him, they admitted it was a mistake, and they both, I saw the press conference, they both said, I don't have the power to let this guy out of jail. After Trump just let 1,600 people of his own violent protesters out of jail, and Bukele's a dictator, he can do anything he wants. Both of them could totally let him out of jail, and they're trying to say they don't have the power to let him out of jail. They can't do it, which is, this is the kind of stuff that, yes, it was a unanimous Supreme Court decision, and Trump just decided to quote the opposite, say the Supreme Court said I can just leave him in there. This is one thing he does. He just completely lies. And so the point is, he's daring anybody to expose that he's lying. That's the question. He's trying to go for absolute power. And now he also said he wants Bukele to build 5 more prisons like that because he's going to start deporting American citizens there with apparently also no due process. So he'll just snatch people and send them off to be vanished forever, the way they do in other dictatorial regimes. And he wants everyone to be very, very afraid. He wants every lawyer, every legal company to be afraid, every journalist company, every university, and every person who lives in America should be afraid. He could just send his thugs to kidnap you and send you off to El Salvador to die at any moment, and there would be nothing anybody can do to stop him, apparently. So it's possible that the courts will do something, but it was about a year ago the courts said explicitly that he could just send SEAL Team 6 to execute his political opponents, and that would be just fine. He would face no legal consequences for that at all. That's insane. That's not in the Constitution. They just made that up, but they passed it in the Supreme Court. So I don't know if that's going to stop him, but I think public pressure will stop him. That's why I'm out every weekend protesting. I highly recommend it. Anybody that can afford to, certainly not people who aren't citizens, but anybody who can take the risk, I think, needs to be out there protesting, because these people really care about their public appearance and their popularity. Trump, he doesn't brag about anything more than his ratings and on TV and how many people cheered for him at a rally. He's like a TV celebrity or rock star. He just wants to be popular. It really, really, really bothers him that people are out there protesting. And protesting Musk seems to be the most effective way to protest them. That really hits him where it hurts. It affects Musk's money, and that's all any of them care about, is power and money. Trump cares about glory and money. Musk just cares about money. And so we can actually punch it in an area that hurts them. And if we can stop it now, this is what will stop him, is the people protesting. That's what I think. Anyway, I'm doing it. I'm doing for whatever good it may do, I'm doing it. Our establishments do not seem to be doing much, although some Democrats said they're going to go to El Salvador and try to rescue this guy, and that might do it. That might make a good theatrical TV moment of them like knocking on the door, getting thrown back or arrested or something. I don't think they'll get him, but they can maybe dramatize this activity. You know, it seemed like the Democrats had just been asleep, except for AOC and Bernie, but a few others, Jasmine Crockett, a few of them have been speaking up, and a few more of them are starting to speak up. And some Republican senators are even starting to speak up. When you trash the stock market, there's Republican senators that noticed that. So, you know, the resistance may be growing. All right, anyway, I'm going to stop this.